All right, so we got two matters that we're here that we want to talk about. I'm joined by my dear friend and great sheriff of Erie County, John Garcia, and John has some colleagues here with him, and he'll introduce them when he speaks. But we want to talk about two matters that have come about recently and resulted in arraignments this morning. The first one is 33-year-old Nico Carter. Mr. Carter is currently a suspended a jail deputy who has been on the job less than 8 months. He was arraigned this morning in front of Judge Latempio in Buffalo City Court on one count of promoting prison contraband in the first degree, which is a Class D felony. He was arraigned on one count of conspiracy in the fourth degree, a Class E felony, along with one count of official misconduct. The allegation is, in essence, that while he was working as a jail deputy, he was bringing contraband into the holding center, and also he was working with someone in the holding center. We're not going to specify who or what, quite frankly, but he was working with someone inside the holding center to distribute said contraband. Again, we are not going to discuss what exactly the contraband is at this time, nor are we going to discuss who he was allegedly involved in a conspiracy with inside the holding center to distribute the contraband. That information needs to be kept quiet at this time as we proceed with our investigation and as we proceed with the prosecution. He is the sheriff will talk about his status now currently as a jail deputy, but he's scheduled to return on November 2nd at 9:30 for a felony hearing. He was released on his own recognizance because none of these offenses are bail eligible, and therefore he was released, and he will now come back in a month for his felony hearing. The second matter that was arraigned this morning was 46-year-old Krista Catrona. Miss Catrona was an employee of the Sheriff's Department when Sheriff Garcia took over as the sheriff a couple years ago. She worked in the Correctional Health Division of the Sheriff's Department, and basically the allegation is that between December 30th of 2021 and February 7th of 2022, in that about a month and a half period there, she falsified her own time slips. And by falsifying her own time slips, she was paid money that she shouldn't have been paid, about approximately $1,300. And basically that was a fraudulent transaction on her part. She was arraigned this morning on one count of falsifying business records, the business records being the official Erie County Sheriff timesheets. That is, again, a Class E felony, and also she was charged with one count of official misconduct. That investigation has been going on for some time now, and like I said, culminated in the arraignment this morning. The other one was with Mr. Carter was a recent investigation that culminated rather quickly due to the great work of DJ Granville and his team over at the Sheriff's Department. And again, I'll let the sheriff talk about who in the Sheriff's Department is here today and who worked on it. But again, as always, these are not easy cases to prosecute. We're all on the same team here. I don't take any pleasure in prosecuting two fellow law enforcement officials, but as I've said before, we in law enforcement hold ourselves to a higher standard, And when someone in our community who, one was a sworn officer, the other was a civilian employee working in the Department of Mental Health over there, but whether you're a sworn officer or not, it really doesn't matter. You work for our team, you are held to a higher standard, and when you violate those standards, you're going to be prosecuted. And we now, I shouldn't say now, but we have a sheriff of Erie County who believes in that with me as well, and does not want any bad actors working in his department, which I'll say now, under his leadership and under the leadership of the Undersheriff Bill Cooley, is a department of character and integrity, and does their work up to the highest standards. And it is that relationship that I have with the sheriff that makes our team, DA's office and sheriffs, in my opinion, the best law enforcement team in Erie County that we've ever had. And I thank you, Sheriff, for everything you do, sir.
Thank you very much, DA Flynn. And I just can't say enough about working with your office, with your prosecutors. It's always seamless. I'd like to introduce Undersheriff William Cooley and Chief of Narcotics, DJ Granville. I take no pleasure in this, but this is the easiest part of our job, is arresting criminals. The two criminals that we arrested happen to be employees of the Erie County Sheriff's Office. The jail deputy took an oath of office to support and follow the laws of this land, of this state, and he violated that oath. But he didn't tarnish the badge nor the uniform. As proud as I am of the great work that the Narcotics Division and the Professional Standards Division did in working with the Honorable John Flynn's office, yes, I am pretty pissed off at what happened. And I'm disappointed in what happened. Here's a young man who had a great opportunity to work a profession, an honorable profession. He didn't last 8 months. But that goes to show you that, the public needs to have confidence and trust in their elected officials and in law enforcement. And as much as this individual tried to destroy that confidence and that trust, we immediately began the investigation and quickly resolved it. He's on administrative leave without pay. He will be going from wearing the very proud black and gold of the Erie County Sheriff's Office to what I hope is wearing orange. And every time that I put the uniform on and I put the badge on, I feel proud. This is a profession. It's not a job. We have to always stay above, and the people need to be confident in what we do. And I think this goes to show again that when there are, and I'm not going to say bad apples, when there are criminals and criminal behavior being done, that we take care of it immediately. As far as the second individual, when my administration came on board last January, we did an assessment of every single unit department within the sheriff's office. We saw some things that kind of alerted us to some misdeeds, and today, as the Honorable John Flynn said, Krista Crotona was arraigned on charges of official misconduct. Again, these things may happen, but you can rest assured that your sheriff and the sheriff's office are going to be on top of it. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Why can't you tell us what the contraband is? You're holding a press conference, you have a narcotics detective here, folks are going to make certain assumptions. Can you tell us why you won't tell us what the contraband is?
It's an ongoing investigation. We have to protect people that are witnesses in the case right now. That will come out in the future.
All right. Secondly, the person who was being worked with allegedly as part of this conspiracy, is that person a public employee? If so, of what agency, and what is that person's job status as we speak?
I won't comment on that, sir. Just, we only have one person on administrative leave without pay at this time.
Could you tell us what led you to believe he was working with someone inside?
You know, our jobs are professional law enforcement. We're on top of every single aspect of the job. When something doesn't look right and it doesn't smell right, that's why we have experienced leadership in the Erie County Sheriff's Office. This is what we do every day. So when we saw something that just didn't fit the norm, and we have an intel unit, we listen to phone calls and so forth. So, you know, it was just a great investigation done, not only by DJ Granville, our chief of narcotics, but also Tim Donovan and our chief of professional standards, working together seamlessly with our Erie County District Attorney's Office.
Could you be more specific on what didn't look right, though?
I can't speak to that. It will come out, though. It will come out. But you know, that's what I'm proud of in a very dark day. Is that yes, the jail deputy got arrested. However, the people that did the investigation did an outstanding job, and as DA Flynn said, it was done quickly, professionally, efficiently.
I'm going to pop on this side of Andy to ask my question.
Yes,
This
dear.
could be for either the DA or the sheriff or both. You talk about having confidence in law enforcement, how, you know, this could have taken a turn to have people not have confidence. What about confidence in this county? This county is being audited by the controller's office and the clerk's office. There are audits everywhere you look, people investigating this county. This seems like another thing where people of Erie County might go, what is going on with our government?
But that goes to show, Tara, the checks and balances. There should be audits. There should be investigations. Not everything is going to go. If we don't have those checks and balances, none of this would be discovered. So I always welcome audits and so forth. But it goes to show that when there is criminal behavior, that the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, we work together to ensure that the public does have confidence in our agencies and in law enforcement. Mr. Flynn would like to comment.
Yeah, Tara, you have thousands of people who work in the county, and whenever you have an organization that large, you're gonna have, unfortunately, individuals who misbehave. Whether it is misbehavior on a small scale, where people call in sick when they're not sick, or you have it on a large scale when people, allegedly take thousands and thousands of dollars away from an office. So, the range of criminality, it varies when you have an entity that size. And so, like the sheriff said, whenever it comes up, we are here to investigate it. And so my response to the residents of Erie County is that, you have a sheriff and you have a district attorney who take these things seriously, and when they arise, when criminality comes up, and when people do things wrong, that's why we're here to arrest them and prosecute them. Yes, sir.
Yes, this is for the sheriff. There have been a number of incidents involving sheriff's personnel, particularly at the jail. You had an incident not long ago in which the State Commission on Corrections says they were not appropriately notified of incidents involving inappropriate contact between inmates and employees at the jail, and you said you'd do better. We had a corrections officer last year who pled guilty to introducing contraband into the jail. That was a cell phone. It turns out that that person had been accused of misconduct while on the Buffalo Police Department, including beating somebody, and that resulted in a settlement. This is according to the Buffalo News. We had also an employee named Mr. D who recently pleaded guilty in connection with charges involving inappropriate contact with inmates. My question is, you said you believe in checks and balances and audits. Will you publicly now commit to releasing the personnel file of Mr. Carter so that we can see for ourselves what steps were taken in his hiring, what background checks were done, was he subjected to drug tests, all of that? Will you publicly now agree to disclose his personnel file?
So you made references to some of the individuals that work for the sheriff's office that were arrested or resigned since I've been the sheriff of Erie County. And that's because of the investigations we did and the arrests that were made. So if there's going to be criminal behavior done by anyone that works in the sheriff's office, they will be arrested. They will be prosecuted. Anytime somebody gets hired to work for the sheriff's office and is a sworn member of the office, there's a whole series of events that need to take place. And it starts with a civil service exam, but yes, there's drug testing, there's a polygraph, there's a background investigation, so on and so forth. There's still people that fall through the cracks because they're people. And people sometimes, you never know what's going to happen. But the important thing is this: when there is criminal behavior, that you know that your sheriff in this office will investigate, and that person will be arrested and then prosecuted.
Excuse me, will you release the personnel file? It is considered a public record under New York law. Will you release it?
That's something that we'll look into and we'll address it another time.
As far as the hiring goes, can more not be done on your end in this vetting process to ensure this does happen?
So, you know, the vetting process is, you know, it starts with a civil service exam, and then the person submits to a drug test, physical agility exam, polygraph, background investigation. They talk to employers, past employers, neighbors. There's a psychiatric examination. You're absolutely right, Undersheriff. So there's many steps, but people are human beings. People make mistakes, or they're just criminals that fall through the cracks. But the important part of this, when that happens, in any profession, be it law enforcement, be it in the medical profession, be it in any profession, that us, the employer, the sheriff of this county, acts upon that and follows through with it. As this gentleman said, we've had jail deputies arrested this year. We've had people resign for misconduct. What you're not going to see is this sheriff, myself, turning a blind eye to any misconduct, any criminal activity. But people are human beings, and they make mistakes, or they're just outright criminals. Yes, Tara?
How important is it, though, to maybe review those policies? Because within the 8 months that this person was working, you had someone who pled guilty to a mass shooting here in Buffalo in the holding center. How important is it to maybe review those processes so the people of Erie County can have trust that the criminals that these folks are supposed to be watching are, you know, being watched by people who are law enforcement agents, not criminals themselves?
99% of the people that we have working there are hardworking men and women that are honorable people. Their fathers, their mothers, they're members of the community. I am not going to have this individual, Nico Carter, tarnish the Erie County Sheriff's badge. There's no way. There's people that put their lives on the line, as we saw during the snowstorms, and people that do some outstanding job throughout the community at all times, be it on the road or inside the jail. I'm not going to let this person tarnish that job. And so the community knows this. When there is criminal behavior, that their sheriff is going to do an investigation and make an arrest. That's the important part. But again, like the Honorable Mr. Flynn said, we have thousands of employees within the county, as there's thousands of employees in the private sector and so forth. And there's going to be people that do criminal behavior, be it official misconduct for stealing hours, for contraband, conspiracy. The important thing is this, is when that happens, that you have confidence and trust that we'll always do the right thing, because we will. But it doesn't matter what kind of testing you want to do, ever. You never know with a human being. And listen, I don't want to, make this relation to the NFL. But how many different tests are, players that go through and they're drafted number one, and they're a bust. You never know with people, but at least you know when there's criminal behavior that's done, that we will investigate and we will make an arrest.
In terms of the jail deputy, is there, what, you said is he on paid leave or?
No, he's so,
Unpaid leave?
yeah.
Just until this case is resolved, all you can do is put him on leave, is that correct?
That is correct. There's a bargaining agreement that we have to follow, and at the same time, I want to ensure that the taxpayers in no way are going to, foot the bill for paying this individual, this criminal, back pay. So we have to follow the rules. And with that being said, he's on unpaid administrative leave. We're going to hopefully process, this process will go quickly, and this person won't ever work at the Erie County Sheriff's Office again. But we have tremendous people that are working at both the Erie County Holding Center and the Erie County Correctional Facility. They do outstanding work. It's one of the toughest jobs within the law enforcement profession. And they do an outstanding job. Short-handed, a lot of people are having to be forced into working additional 8-hour shifts. I am not going to let this individual tarnish their reputations and the great work that they do. However, rest assured that if something like this happens again, we will be on it immediately. And that goes to show the professionalism of the Erie County Sheriff's Office and the great work done by everyone involved. We quickly got on it. Search warrants were signed, executed, and it progressed very, very quickly.
In regards to the individual who was charged with theft of time or falsifying their punches, will the county seek to recover those funds?
Yes. Yeah, as part of the, let's say it this way. Normally in these type of cases, when they get ultimately resolved, restitution is always asked for. Now, I can't, this particular case, I can't, I don't know how it's going to play out. I mean, she may fight it, and it may go to trial, and then if it goes to trial, then the judge will decide whether or not a fine can be levied or not. But if it gets resolved short of a trial, 9 out of 10 times we demand restitution.
Is there a dollar figure or a number of
About
hours?
1,300 hours.
Can you say, was she giving herself extra overtime? Was she not going to come into work?
I'm not gonna get specifics about what she exactly did, because again, she's just like the jail deputy. They are innocent until proven guilty. These are just allegations, obviously, at this time. So I don't want to hurt my prosecution and get into specifics about what specific timesheet she was allegedly fraudulently filling out. Sir.
With regard to her, she left work, I believe, in July of 2022. Is that correct?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
That's what it seems to be. Yeah, she left. She resigned from her position on July 15th, 2022. That was more than a year ago. At that point in time, was she under suspicion?
Well, Tara, you had a great question about, the controller's office is here doing an audit. The county controller did an audit, on the clerk's office. When our administration came on board, we all did an audit. And that was discovered. It takes time. So when people say that, these investigations are going to conclude in 2 weeks, especially white collar, it's ridiculous. There's so much that goes into it. I mean, and you want to get it right. So we found that. And we saw that there was a problem there. So, we further investigated it. And then at that time, we brought it to DA Flynn's office and presented the information. And our investigator worked with the assistant district attorney that was assigned by Mr. Flynn, Gary Erdo, who does a fantastic job with all the fraud investigations. and we move forward. But those are very time-consuming investigations. But again, we discovered that there was a crime, and we made an arrest after working with the DA's office. And that's what's important, you know, is for the public to know this. When there are issues, we're professional law enforcement. We've been around for a long time. It's easy for us to figure out these things. We're not absentee landlords. We're here, we're working. We're trying to figure out what's happening, be it on the outside, with crimes and all the crimes that are happening with the stolen cars and everything else, and the drug dealing, but also we're taking care of the house.
So she was under suspicion in July of 2022, is that
Yes, sir.
fair? Okay. How much time passed between Mr. Carter's last shift and his arraignment?
2 weeks, a week and a half.
He hasn't been to work in approximately 9-10 days.
Okay. So he was placed on unpaid status at what point in time?
No, sir, it was, he was on vacation, on leave.
Okay, got it. So,
Yeah.
but at what point was he officially put on unpaid status?
Today.
Okay.
So, answer your question, this would have progressed a lot quickly if he wouldn't have taken a vacation.